Hi, welcome to my next video. Today I'm going to present to you how I'm working on painting this element of scenography that's going to be on the base of my Magnus the Red. As you can see, this is a hand of classical Dreadnought. This kind of bits is something what I really like to have on my bases, so this is going to definitely stay there. And I'm going to work on it using an airbrush, but on the beginning, before I start to do anything with painting, I have to mask some elements because I'm going to use an airbrush in a different way here, and in different way here, and different way here. So for that I need to first mask those elements that I'm not going to paint right now, and in that case it's important to first paint those elements that are the biggest and the easiest to hide under masking tape, and then focus on the rest. So I'm going on the beginning to paint this, so I'm going to hide these areas right here, and I currently have just this very small masking tape because bigger just ended, and I'm waiting for a package with a new portion of it. So another thing about masking tape, it's important to have different sizes of it, because now it's going to take a bit more work than if I would be using something bigger. But just to show you, you can always also improvise, because for example I needed to buy an Teflon tape for my airbrush. It's useful when on these elements that you need to put one on another, if some elements of airbrush doesn't fit really well and the air is going through these elements. It's hard, sorry, I don't remember how they are called in English, but when you've got these wires that are supposed to have air inside. Okay, sorry, I don't remember the names of those things. It's useful for airbrush. I will write down in comment what I meant, because now it's getting silly. So now I mask this element, and I can paint this. Okay, a bit more. Teflon tape, after all, is not so good. Okay, now it's safe, so now I'm going to start working with airbrush. Okay, so now I'm going to use first color. It's going to be black-gray. I'm going to use the same colors that I'm always using for Space Wolves. So you can check out just some PDF tutorial, but just to remind you, this is as the base color. I'm using black-gray, and now I'm adding demineralized water, and I'm mixing this color with this kind of a tool. It has rubber ending. It's called color shape or clay shape. I'm not sure, I just found it in art supply shop, and I will add a little bit more water, but just a little bit. Okay, so this is consistency that I'm going to use right now. Okay. And now I'm trying to use just small amounts of paint. Because thick layers will dry out faster and create better surface. Okay, I'm just going to paint all over the top elements because they're supposed to be brighter. And when I'm going to paint these elements, I'm going to try to use airbrush to paint this area right here to keep it darker and these elements brighter. Okay, same thing here. Okay, so here we have basics. Now I'm going to make some shading. Okay, now I'm going to use blue gray pale, and I'm making the same thing like with black gray. But now I want to have a bit more diluted paint. Okay, I think that this is enough. Okay, it's much more diluted, but this is something what I need for now, so I'm repeating these steps from the last time. With more diluted paint I can make more delicate and subtle transitions between colors, and I don't have to use more mid-tones. Okay. Oops, too much. Okay, I will come back here in a moment. Again, if we want to have a more interesting surface, we need to have contrast between those sides. So I'm going to paint this element right here to make lower part brighter than this on top. You need to remember about cleaning needle of your airbrush during painting. For that, for that I'm using something like this. I'm sorry, I don't remember how it's called in English. And I'm using polish nail removal for it, because it's easy to get and it's being sold in smaller bottles. So remember to clean the needle during painting, because it's very important, because the paint will dry out on the tip of it and will make impossible for paint to go through this element. So I'm back on the same topic. Again, making layers. And it's like to stop painting even when I clean the needle. Okay. Okay, so a bit more here again. Okay, it's not painting again. That's one of the reasons why I don't use airbrush too often. paint is always drying out somewhere and just stops working. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to mask this element to create a bit more effect with an airbrush. What am I doing? Okay. There you go. Okay. So now I'm going to paint from this angle because I want this to be untouched. So let's go. Okay, so I think that basic color on this part is ready. Okay. And now it's super bright and this one is darker. So in that case, I will just now mask this element and work on this for a moment more. Okay, so again on this element, it's a good idea to start movements before and after the element, behind the element, so you would not have any splashes of paint. Okay, I think that now it's okay. I think that now there's supposed to be a smaller difference between colors. Let me try this out. Okay, so now I have this. So as you can see, I have some basic shadows created on this part of arm of Dreadnought. And for me this is just basic colors, I mean. And now I'm going to work on this part of the Dreadnought. But what I meant is that these are just basic colors for me, and I'm going to soon work on them with my brush. Okay, so now I'm going to repeat all those steps on this element right here. And while reality would like me to paint highlight on the top of this element, I need to remember that we will watch this miniature from some angle which is different. So I'm going to paint my highlights in here and in here. But at this point I still need to basically cover the whole element with black gray. Okay, so now I'm painting highlights with this brightest color. Again, like I said, one will go here. It would be great to paint a smaller thin line. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to try to paint really thin line in the middle using black gray. I hope this is going to work. Okay, it's okay, because as you can see, when I look from this angle, I see that there's contrast, and I've got the same thing here, so it's okay. Let's see. Okay, so now there's only this part left to paint. Okay, so now I'm again painting basic color, and I'm starting to paint from this angle. I'm just basically painting with airbrush from the top to create some basic shadow and light. Okay, so the basic color is already in. So now I'm doing the same step with this brightest color, which, to remind you, was blue gray fail. so now as the last step I took a little bit of Natto black and I mixed it with water in the same proportions like other paints, and I'm going to paint some shadows with it to finally create some real contrast. So of course I'm painting from the bottom. Okay, so now I have marked all those highlights and shadows. Okay, that's how it looks like now. Okay, so now everything that's supposed to be painted with black paint is already painted like this. And now I'm going to start working on edges. For that I'm going to use pure blue-gray pale. And just the edge of my brush. I don't have to make it in very precise way in this situation because I'm going to make this armor look damaged, like this paint on it is going to be weathered. when you will be trying to create this kind of scratches, then you want to have a very irregular shape of them, and for that it's very good to handle your brush on the as far from the tip of it as you can, because in this way you will have much less stabilized position. In this way it starts to shaking and working in pretty chaotic way, and it helps you making realistic battle damage. This will be under feet of Magnus, so I'm not going to pay any attention to these parts. Okay, for these edges here, I'm going to add a little bit of black-gray to blue-gray pale to make it a bit darker, because these edges are supposed to be in bigger shadow than those on the top, so they should be darker. Okay, so, okay, this one edge here. Okay, so now when I have those edges marked, I will work a little bit on those scratches. For that I'm using chocolate brown from Vallejo. And okay. So I'm going to paint now inside of those earlier marked spaces. I'm not sure if you can see it, but this mixture, this chocolate brown is not dark enough, so I'm going to add a little bit black to it to have color that is basically color of a dark chocolate. And it's here. Here is the paint itself, and here's the mixture. It's almost black, but I need this kind of a color for better contrast between this brown and these bright edges. Okay. Okay. So this is how it looks like right now. And I'm going to make a few more scratches, because just the edges is not enough. So for that I'm again taking blue-gray pale. Okay, deeper scratches going through the whole armor. Okay, so now I'm going the same steps. Okay, so this is basic battle damage that I'm going to have on this miniature right here. I'm going to make the same things on other elements. And right now I think I'm going to present to you painting chain. Okay. I think that this camera works better if I don't have this black glove on, so I have to record this like this. Okay, so painting chain will be pretty easy, and for it I'm going to need only 3 paints: black, gray, blue, gray pale, and azure gray, which I presented to you a few times as it's the brightest color that I'm using on metallic elements that are supposed to be silver or steel. So as the first step, just covering the whole area, the whole chain with black gray, but I'm also trying to keep black paint in spaces between those parts of chain. Okay, I hope I didn't miss any element. Okay, and now now it's important to decide from which side the sun is going to be the source light on the miniature. So if I could remember, then when Magnus will be standing, then this arm will be in something like this position. So in this way, because of that, I need to decide that the source of light will be coming from here. And as you can see, we've got real shining spots on it, and I'm going just to mark them with blue-gray pale paint. But from the other side, I'm going to make it in the same way to make it look good when it will be watched from the other side. Okay, and this is just to remember where those shining spots supposed to be. And now I'm mixing black gray with blue gray pale to have color that is going to be like 50-50. Okay, let me show you it. Okay, so here's black gray, here's the mixture, here's blue gray pale, so like I said, it's like 50-50. And now I'm going to cover some parts of the chain that I can barely see right now. Okay, give me a second. Okay, now I'm taking blue-gray pale here, a bit of black-gray, and I'm making it a little bit darker. I'm going to again make those just painted edges a bit brighter. Okay, so one moment, please. Okay, so now I'm taking this super bright gray and I'm going to mark a few elements with it. It would be perfect to paint with this smaller dot inside of this bigger one earlier painted with blue-gray pale, but with camera in front of my face I can do that. But you can try. Remember just to use this color only for shining spots. And for highlights in the shadows, let's say, use blue-gray pale. a bit more of this bright mixture with blue-gray pale for here and here, and again here. And now clean blue-gray pale. Here. Okay, so this is basically how I'm painting chains, and this is what I created in this tutorial. So I presented to you painting basic color for the armor and scratches and chain also. I hope you enjoyed this video. I can continue this topic if you will be interested in it, because we've got here spaces like really shining metallic pipe. And at this point I'm going to end this, and like I said, I hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time. Bye!